going to start out. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance if we would, and then get down to business. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Attorney Betts is here this evening. We're going to let him be our controller of this election, or this.
All right. We have a vacancy on council. It's council's obligation to fill that vacancy. Council has agreed upon a procedure in which to do so. And that procedure first is that everyone who submitted an application, as I understand it, some have withdrawn, but there are 24 applicants for the position. Each of you has a ballot in front of you with 24 names. You are permitted to vote for 0, 1, 2, or 3. You cannot vote more than one vote per person. So you can vote for up to 3 applicants. And then we'll collect all of them, we'll read them, and we'll identify them. I just want to make sure that's round 1. Round 2 is that the names of anyone who gets at least 1 vote will be on the ballot for round 2. Each council member is given 1 vote in round 2, so that would be a maximum of 6. You don't have to use it, but you should. You will then have whoever gets the votes will be calculated. The top 2 vote getters will move on to round 3. In the event of a tie, so if we have 2 for one candidate, 2 for another, 2 for another, all 3 would move on. The top 2 vote getters, including any ties, will move on to round 3. That's when it may get interesting, because we have to end our day with getting 4 votes for 1 applicant. Anything that we discuss is discussed in open session. There cannot be an executive session to discuss the strengths or weaknesses of an applicant. Anybody have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I would like to say that this is one of the most difficult things that I have ever had to do as a council person. Yes, I sign up for this, but unforeseen things happen, and I know for sure I'll never be an HR person in my life because everyone had something to bring to the table, and everyone did such a great job in their interviews and in their resumes to us. So I want to thank everyone for your commitment, your willingness to put yourself out there for the city. It's not an easy job. Thank you.
I just wanted to echo what Kathy said. I read every cover letter and resume twice, listened intently to every presentation. I appreciate everyone who followed up with those questions I had, where I was trying to show what I think at least my priority should be, focusing on your focus and also the structural deficit. I always used to say when I interviewed interns and regular candidates at the newspaper that I always learned something from those interviews. I always took something away, and I took something away from each person's cover letter, your follow-ups. In particular, that last 2 questions I asked elicited information that will be useful and acted upon by City Council, especially in terms of how we listen to make sure that we are hearing what is going on out into the community. So thank you. It was a great learning experience. The whole process this time around has been a great learning experience.
Mr. President?
Sure.
I love to tease Liz, but those questions were good. If you took your time, like I did, to read all of them, kind of changes your mind too. There's some real in-depth answers there. Thank you. Even though you drove me crazy doing it. I have 2 questions. But you were good.
Thank you.
Any other councilmen? Ladies? I just want to say thank you all very much, like Kathy has stated, this is a very difficult choice and decision here. There's very many qualified candidates, and I appreciate the effort and honesty to even consider this job. It's not as simple as it looks, but and your interest in the city of Erie. Like Liz even mentioned, a lot of ideas and thoughts came from not only the interviews themselves, but the questions that were posted online, and we got responses to, and we learned things ourselves. So we appreciate the input, we appreciate the interest, and with that, we'll move forward.
So with that, each of you has a ballot. You can check, again, you check or circle. I just want to make sure, make it clear that I know who the three are, or two, or one. Don't leave any doubt by, if you're going to circle it, if you're going to put an X, just make it clear. Do that now. We'll collect the ballots, and then we'll announce who moves on to round two. So names are on the front and back.
Now,
I know. For the benefit of the public, all of these ballots are public record, so I have the name of each council member. I'm not going to read them, but they're all public. You can see them. The reason I'm not going to read them is I'm not trying to influence anyone else. They're going to be able to debate and argue all they want, and as much or as little of it is, you'll be able to see it. I'm just going to read the names of the votes. We have Sean Lyons, Tom Stachewski, Rob Mart, Johnny Johnson, Devonna Paisley, Jasmine Flores, Tom Stachewski, Chuck Nelson, Rob Mart, Tyler Titus, Dave Brennan, Daria Devlin, Chuck Nelson, Rob Mart, Selena King, Dave Brennan, Rob Mart, Selena King. Give us just a moment. Thank you. Here's matches. All right, so we have 11 candidates move on to round two. Those 11 candidates are Johnny Johnson, Devonna Paisley, Tyler Titus, Sean Lyons, Tom Stachewski, Dave Brennan, Chuck Nelson, Rob Mart, Selena King, Daria Devlin, and Jasmine Flores. Each council member will be given one ballot where you can cast one vote for any of those names that I just read.
You'll get one.
Laura, did you put you have the names on the? Wow, that's good.
Rose, it's all Rose.
Well,
He has all the names.
if Rose isn't here, take the credit.
I did not cross out.
Again, for the benefit of just reading it one more time, we have Johnny Johnson, Devonna Paisley, Tyler Titus, Sean Lyons, Tom Stachewski, Dave Brennan, Chuck Nelson, Rob Mart, Selena King, Daria Devlin, and Jasmine Flores. If you would cast a vote for one of those 11. And then again, for clarity, the top 2 candidates move on to round 3. In the event of a tie, any additional candidates would also move if they're in the top 2.
My work.
It isn't easy. Tell her.
I'm going to now read the votes for, each council member had one vote for any one of the 11. The top 2 will move on. Rob Mart, Dave Brennan, Selena King, Tom Stachewski, Rob Mart, Chuck Nelson. As would be my worst nightmare.
2 votes. One got 2 votes. Everyone else is a single.
We have 5 candidates that would move on to round 3. Those 5 candidates would be Tom Stachewski, Dave Brennan, Chuck Nelson, Rob Mart, and Selena King.
Could you list those again?
Yes, sir. Tom Stachewski, Dave Brennan,
Okay.
Chuck Nelson, Rob Mart, and Selena King.
So, Solicitor, we're trying to get to the top 2 now, even though we need to have somebody with more than one person with more than 2 votes. Would that be logical to say we can't
So we have to go to the next round.
Well, we're gonna need, well, this is the beauty or the curse of this
Okay.
process.
Okay,
We have to move on to round 3.
okay,
We need to ultimately reach a point where we can get 4 people on council
to agree.
to vote for one of the 5 candidates. Dave Brennan. Dave Brennan. Selena King. Rob Mart. Rob Mart. Dave Brennan.
Top 2?
We now have the top 2, which is Mr. Brennan and Mr. Mart. Just want to make sure I've got each of the 6. Rob Mart. Dave Brennan. Rob Mart. Dave Brennan. Dave Brennan. Dave Brennan.
Four? Yeah, sound like you read
It
7.
appears that we have a 4-2 vote for Mr. Brennan. Mr. Brennan is your new council member.
That concludes our election process this evening. Congratulations to everyone, especially Mr. Brennan. Welcome aboard. Before you leave, David, we got a determined on Wednesday, we'd like to swear you in before our council meeting. You got to get right to work. There's no partying time. We got work to do. But congratulations, and if you would, before you leave, step up here. Thank to all the candidates.